I think that when you are passionate about what you do and then you have a kid, for me, it's made me even more passionate. I really feel like you're doing it with a different purpose. Like I always loved doing what I do, but now I'm making like a badass ice cream legacy for Remy. And like that fires me up even more, makes me want to do even more and be even greater. And like you think about what you're creating for them, like how will they view this? How will they view you as a person in the context of business? You know, when they're older, like, you know, you have that kind of like another set of eyes on you. So I think it changes how you conduct yourself.
You're listening to the MILF Podcast. This is the show where we talk about motherhood and sexuality with amazing women with fascinating stories to share on the joys of being a MILF. Now here's your host, the MILFiest MILF I know, Jennifer Tracy.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. This is MILF Podcast, the show where we talk about motherhood, entrepreneurship, sexuality, and everything in between. I'm Jennifer Tracy, your host, and so happy to be bringing you this episode today. A couple items of business. This month, the charity that I'm engaging with and donating to is called Children's Defense Fund. You can find them online. You can actually go to my website and I have a link to them on my giving page. And you can donate to them directly. And you always have the option of writing an iTunes review for MILF Podcast. Every iTunes review in the month of April, I will give $25 to Children's Defense Fund. So there's that. Also on my website, milfpodcast.com, you can sign up for a 21-day creative challenge. Opt in. You just click on the little box. There's like an old-timey typewriter and it says Unlocked 21-Day Creative Challenge. And it's a workshop that I'm giving away for free to help people tell their stories, because my whole mission is that everyone needs to tell their stories. You know, the more people we can elevate their voices and hear their truths. That's why I started the podcast. The better off we will all be, because the more stories we hear and listen to, hopefully the more we can actually understand each other and have compassion and empathy for one another. So check that out. See if it's something you're interested in doing. It's basically, like I said, 3 weeks. It's a workbook. I'm going to be taking you through the workbook. It's a couple of exercises just to open you up to whatever the project is that's been kind of nagging at you. You know, how you always have that like, oh, I kind of want to write a screenplay, or I kind of want to write a TV show, or there's a book story I have, this idea. But most of the time you just never do it because don't do that. Do it because there's a reason it's coming to you. So, there's that. So today on the show, I have Natasha Case, who is the CEO and co-founder of Coolhaus Ice Cream. This is such a cool company. I mean, really, I felt very uncool being in there because I got to go to her headquarters to interview her in one of the conference rooms. And wow, it says one of the taglines is awesome ice cream. And it really is. First of all, the product is incredible. The ice cream is amazing. I got to go next door and sample a bunch of the ice cream, and they have these ice cream sandwiches that are just ridiculous. They're phenomenal. And how she came upon this and came to this in her 20s is just an extraordinary story. And within that, met her wife and fell in love, and they had the company together. And then, so Natasha and Freya started this company together. And from nothing. And it grew and grew and grew. And it is huge now. And it's such an inspiring story. And they have a little boy together now. And yeah. So anyway, I'm not trying to give you spoilers, but I'm just so excited about sharing this conversation with you. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Natasha. Hi, Natasha.
Hello.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. I've been looking forward to it.
This is such a cool space.
Thank you.
It's great.
We have a fun little ice cream world here.
I love it. I accidentally walked into the ice cream shop next door, and the guy was like, nope, you're in the wrong place. I had one of my mic stands and everything. And he was like, you're totally in the wrong place.
Usually it's the other way around. People come in here and they're like standing there kind of mystified, like, wait, where's the ice cream? Does some like magical little elf like hop out of the wall and serve me?
Right.
Or they just, we put on the doors, you might have seen, Like this is not a gallery.
1,000 arrows.
This is not a weed store.
Yes.
This is not a lighting store. We've gotten a lot.
Do you have people coming in here thinking you sell weed?
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I feel like it's a compliment.
Yes, because it's very
maybe someone
clean.
does here.
It's very probably so. Probably so. Oh my God. That's so let's start from the beginning. Where are you from?
I'm from here. I'm from Los Angeles.
Oh, native.
Yeah. Third generation.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's rare.
Yeah. Blue blood.
Wow. Okay. So grew up here. At what part of town?
Sherman Oaks.
Aww,
Yeah. I'm a Valley girl, hence my middle name, Jenny, which was actually my great grandmother's name, just Jenny, not Jennifer, but it sounds like a good 80s Valley name too.
I love it.
Yeah.
I was Jenny. I was Jenny Hip. My maiden name is Hip.
Oh, cool.
And I was Jenny Hip until 4th grade. And then I was like, no, it's just Jen now. It's just Jen.
Love it.
No Jenny.
You don't have time for the
I don't have time for the knee.
Yeah.
So you grew up in Sherman Oaks. And what happened after
in Sherman
that?
Oaks? Yeah. Okay. What's up in Sherman Oaks? So I was there. I went to Harvard Westlake.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah,
that is not an easy school to go to.
It definitely was a great challenging place. And we're still, my wife and I, even though she didn't go there, are both super involved in mentoring the entrepreneurs there. And I just did a speaking event with Harvard Westlake. So it's been a very good thing to, have your high school community close to where you're now being an adult. And then I went to Berkeley for college. So stayed in California, but the Bay Area is its whole own world.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it feels like another state.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I came back here for grad school to UCLA. And then my first job was Disney Imagineering. So that was,
and you studied business?
Hardly actually. I think I was not succeeding at business in college actually at all. But I studied architecture. And in undergrad architecture, and I'm double minored. It was like the lazy woman's double major in urban planning and Italian. I was like, I kind of did that by accident.
It's the lazy woman's. Like, I've been talking to you. I can tell you exactly 3 minutes. There's nothing about you that's lazy. Like, you have your shit together.
I appreciate that.
That's so awesome. So. Wow. And then you said you started at Disney.
Yeah. I started there in 2008 summer, right after I graduated from grad school. I think I had like 5 days off before starting that job. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So it was just, it was the place I really wanted to work. It was a dream. I was really drawn to Disney. Well, a full disclosure, my mom is a TV animator. So she had worked on many shows there. But I just was drawn to like the storytelling and how they create characters and how a lot of people had design and architecture backgrounds, but kind of had this whole other application to that skill set that was really unique.
Yeah.
So I was very, very intrigued by that and had wanted to start my career there.
And how did it go? I mean, well, back up for 1 second, because I had another question that popped up. Were you always so motivated as a kid? Were you just let's get out there, let's do something? So let's go back to Sherman Oaks, because now I feel like I miss something in Sherman Oaks. Yeah, we got to talk Sherman Oaks.
I think definitely I was a pretty go-getter always. Definitely as a kid, I liked being passionate about the things that I did. So I was really into sports. I played soccer, basketball, softball, a little bit of water polo. So just like all the seasons,
Wow.
And a little golf, definitely, stereotypical lesbian childhood, good at golf. And then I was also really into art and the creative side. And that's definitely speaks to, my mom, who's a TV animator, but a trained artist, and my dad is an architect. So definitely grew up around, all the creativity. And my dad is a huge Italophile. He had spent time there in college. So I was particularly into the kind of Renaissance and that kind of art and architecture. But I think always really passionate creatively, always loved drawing. And then a little bit of music too. Piano, saxophone.
You play instruments?
Yeah, Yeah, I played piano through childhood, and then I played saxophone in middle school and high school.
That's so hot.
Yeah, jazz band.
That's
and whatnot.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Do you still play? Do you play?
I still
you
take out
one
the sax. I have a 2-year-old son, Remy.
And do you guys play together? Does he play?
Yeah, well, we showed him some piano. When we go to my parents' house, my mom always loves to play piano with him. And he's gone like, you see from when he could barely even, fumble around on the keys, and now like playing notes and like playing with my mom, little like kind of, it's almost like a duet.
A duet.
Yeah.
There's nothing better. My son does that with my mom too. And I'm getting emotional hearing you talk about your son and your mom. There's something really special about that.
Totally. And I think to be aware of it so early on, it's like another language.
Yes.
So he's a very good dancer. So I think the music, it just kind of, is going to be a passion. I don't know that I've really played the sax for him. I should. I think maybe once or twice.
You're going to blow his mind.
Yeah, he's going to be.
He's going to lose his mind.
I just reordered some reeds so that because I only had like 50 broken ones. So now I have a few that work. So now I can really bust it out for him. And he's been like curious about the box of reeds. So I think he wants me to play for him.
Yes. Oh my God, that's going to be epic. And so, okay, so you're working at Disney. So you're working at Disney, you're in your dream job. Then what happens?
Then the recession hits.
Yeah. Right. Because it was 2008.
Yes. It was summer 2008 when I started. So really by like the end of summer, early fall, it was like something is very wrong economically, and any major business like Disney is going to take a hit from that. So they really, started laying people off and had a hiring freeze. And I could see that, well, one, that it was just sort of darker mood at the office. So I had started in college and in grad school wanting to make architecture more fun and accessible. I had discovered using food to do that. So I had been playing around with all these like food and architecture ideas for years and calling it architecture. Silly sounding word.
I love it.
And so when the mood was dark, as part of this like concept, this umbrella concept, I started baking cookies, making ice cream, naming the combinations after architects. And I handed them out to people at Disney to lighten the mood. Like, oh, sorry about the bad news. Here's a Frank Berry. Here's a Mousse Vanilla Row. And it really did actually, accomplish that. It was a passionate hobby for me, though. I wasn't taking it super, super seriously. But then I met the other founder of Coolhaus, Freya, and she's like, there's some business potential in this. Like, this is a really crazy idea, but there's something beyond just, this hobby. Like, this could really be something.
And you're talking about your wife.
Yes.
Okay.
My now wife.
So how did you guys meet? Did you meet and then become business partners and then fall in love? May I ask?
Oh, sure. Of course you can ask.
Such
That's
a
why we're on
great
the
love
podcast.
story.
Yeah,
I love this love story.
It sort of all happened at once. We started dating and we started making Coolhaus a business, like really from day one. There was never much separation. I think part of the attraction for her was like the creativity with this, crazy idea and someone who was really motivated to do something. So we became romantically involved, and like on the first date, I brought her an ice cream sandwich that I had made, but it basically melted because I needed like an operations person like her, so.
I don't know why I'm so emotional today. I'm very premenstrual. Everything you're telling me is making me cry.
I love
you
that.
Playing the saxophone, your mom playing with your son. Like it's all waterworks.
We can get you a tissue box.
So it almost melted because you didn't have someone that was like, hey, if you're going to transport this, you're going to need the proper, like became her job of like articulating or constructing the framework for the business.
Yes.
Okay.
More, I think, than she thought, because I think she thought I was like a really technical architect. And then she learned soon after I was really more a philosophical type. So, but yeah, so she was like, it was really funny, actually. She said, she called them the elitist ice cream sandwiches, even though I was trying to make architecture not elitist with the punny name. So she's called them that. And then she said, well, what's your cost per unit of this product? And I was like, oh, I went to Whole Foods and it was like $80. And she's like, okay, we're going to go back to the market and we're going to write down what everything costs, make a little spreadsheet. And then we're going to, figure out if this is a viable business. I was like, oh, sounds so annoying. Like, why do we have to do that? It's funny at the time. It's like, to me, there was no option. I had to listen to her, but now I'm like, But we went to Whole Foods, and I'm so glad we did it, not only because to know how the numbers were going to work, which is something I love now, which has totally changed, but also to just walk the freezer aisle of Whole Foods, even a Whole Foods, and see that there was really not that much innovation or uniqueness or artisan, craft behind products. It was like the same big box brands who've been sitting there for decades. And I think we really saw there's an opportunity to disrupt, and let's create something, because we don't feel like any of these brands speak to us as millennials, and definitely not as women. So I think that was like a really important eye-opening, thing that we did. And then we saw like there's something major that we can do, and we feel like we're the ones to do it.
I love that you just said opportunity to disrupt. I mean, do you have t-shirts made that say that? I think you need to.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. I'm into that.
That's incredible. Opportunity to disrupt, because that's so true. It's like the people that we end up following are the people that break away from the norm and from the herd and do something innovative, especially now when there's so much of that happening.
Yeah, no, totally. Sorry,
don't worry about it.
A commotion at the office in the background. It is a working office. There's proof right there. I think that what was the question again?
Opportunity to disrupt,
yes.
And how that is so, especially right now. And I know this was 11 years ago, or no, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But that has grown more and more. And you've seen, since you guys did that, more and more things, not just in the ice cream aisle, but in other parts of the grocery store where they're embracing that more.
Yeah. And now I remember what you asked. I was just writing this down with my social media manager. Like, nothing big ever comes from doing things that are in the way that is the status quo. Like, the big things come from really changing the game. And there's really no data. There's really no mentorship that's going to know for sure that that's going to work out. You absolutely, you take an educated risk, like do your homework and really build a thesis as to why. But like, more often than not, everything's going to say like, oh, this hasn't been done, or nobody wants this, or, like, you do have to go against the grain to a certain point to do something big.
Absolutely. Oh my God. I mean, I'm taking comfort in you saying that, because it's interesting. A lot of people are like, ugh, MILF. Why do you call it the MILF? I'm like, well, it's both. I embrace the former use of the acronym and the moms I'd like to follow. And it's also like an FU to that whole thing of like, yes, I'm both, I'm all, we are all those things. And you can embrace that and be an entrepreneur and be a mom and be in love and have a loving relationship and
totally.
And
being irreverent.
Yes. Yeah. So, but sometimes, and I've noticed more as I've been around longer, not everybody gets it, and that's okay, but that's because it is different,
I love the name out the gate. I thought it was hilarious.
Thank you. So, okay. So back to you. So you guys start this business, you fall in love, then what happens?
Yeah. So for a few months, we were kind of figuring it all out. I think both like, the relationship and starting the business. But it all happened very, very quickly. We started to really just, iterate on the product, making cookies and ice cream all the time, figuring out the recipes, figuring out what our plan was going to be. And then, in addition to that, we were, inseparable from the beginning. And, there were definitely like now, of course, I would tell someone in this situation, like, whoa, like, make an operating plan, like, plan the exit strategy. Like, what's, I get it. It's emotions and it's love. It's not business, but now you're kind of mixing two. I think we got incredibly lucky that we didn't really map it all out, but, it remained a very like positive thing, like our relationship and growing the business. So, and that may not be true for everyone. So that is what I would tell anyone now, but it also just does show that sometimes you're right. Like, a lot of people could have been like, whoa, this is like, you're hedging a lot with all of this, but like, we did just really, really like love each other, and we really, really believed in what we were doing. So once again, it just shows you like, sometimes like, well, we were right, but I think it was all happening quickly. We were kind of figuring out the business, and we figured out that we wanted to launch in a really big way. And we thought, like, what's the biggest possible, event where we can get the most eyes on this and really know, like, do people want this like architecturally inspired ice cream sandwich idea? And we both had spent a lot of years going to Coachella. And so we thought, that's it. Like, we can be a vendor there. We can get it in front of a ton of eyeballs. And then we'll know if this is going to, be a thing or not. So we begged and begged Coachella to let us sell there. And I think they just got so annoyed with us, like literally nagging them nonstop. They were like, okay, you can come and sell here. We're going to stick you in the campground. It's like, just get them out of the way. And so, okay, great. So we have an event to launch at. How are we going to launch? Well, we, looking at kind of what was going on, kind of in the financial picture, we weren't really going to be able to raise a lot of money or get a big loan. So Scoop Shop was out of the business because we had nothing to really, we didn't have like, big dollars in the bank just for ourselves. And we didn't really understand grocery yet, but what we saw is the whole chef-driven mobile food truck movement was just sort of kicking off. And we thought we can really be the pioneering ice cream truck of our generation. This is a great opportunity to kind of, reach people who might want this in a unique way. So we literally Googled hipster ice cream truck. Like, nothing came up. It was amazing. Like, when does that even happen for any Google search?
Right, exactly.
Like,
Zero.
it was like a truck that sold like vinyl records. We're like, oh my God, we have to do this. Now we really have to do this, And so we bought a beat up postal van that was masquerading as an ice cream truck. It did not drive, had no engine. It was a POS, but it did have chrome rims. So we bought that. Worth every penny.
I love it. How much did you pay for the truck?
$2,900.
Wow.
Yeah. We financed the whole business with my personal credit card, which had a $5,000 limit, which I also don't know why my card and not Freya's. She's good at that. How did she do that? So we bought this truck and we towed it to LA. It sat at Freya's mom's house for like 3 weeks, getting complaints from the neighbors. It was an eyesore.
Freya's from here as well.
Yeah, her mom lives in Glendale. Yeah. And so, the day comes for Coachella. We like barely kind of had the product together. We had to incorporate like quickly. So that's why I say like that was like our stereotypical like, lesbian thing. Like, instead of moving in together, which we also did, but we also incorporated. It was more like the power lesbian stereotype. Like 3 months in, we've got an LLC. So then we had to get all of our act together for Coachella, which was good. That shows you like why doing a real event like that.
Yes, it pushes you to just like, You've got a deadline, you got to do it.
Totally. Like, let's figure it out. And then, we've got to get to Coachella. You remember the truck doesn't drive. So we figured out that if we joined AAA Platinum, we got one free 200-mile tow. And so the morning of Coachella, we pretended the truck broke down, even though it never drove, and they towed us to the desert.
That is such a great story. Yeah. Oh my God.
Bootstrapping.
That is such a great story. That is so creative.
You could say that.
I mean, really talking about using all your resources.
Absolutely.
So what happened at Coachella?
So Coachella, well, talk about minimum viable product. I mean, we like had this truck, which wasn't even operable, kind of sitting there as
it was just a shell, basically.
Yeah, it was a shell. It was like, we hope for this one day. And then one thing is we did figure out that we wanted to scoop the product to order, because that was just easier to transport it and easier to build inventory. And we also figured out partnering with manufacturers to make our recipes, because we just could not meet the scale of Coachella with making it ourselves in our kitchen. And I'm so glad we did that, because I'll get to this, but after Coachella, when it was like, okay, we're doing this, then we already had manufacturing in place, so we had the bare minimum of the product. We had the truck that was really more for charging people's phones than for doing anything. And then we had our friends who we had exchanged concert tickets for helping us sell, which you can imagine, went horribly. I won't say it was just creative. I have no idea what they were doing the whole time. There seemed to be maybe some selling. I have no idea. But it was really, really fun, and was perfect because in the campground, we actually had a captive audience, unlike really the rest of the concert, because back then in the early days of Coachella, it was really day passes. So people weren't there all weekend necessarily. but the campers were there for 5 days. So we could really kind of build a cult following. And there would be mornings like people would wake me up at 7 a.m. because there was a line. There was the guy who wanted his minimalism or his, oatmeal cinnamoneo waiting to pay anything for it. Really.
That's amazing.
And it's
supply and demand.
Yeah. There's like something happening.
Yes.
And we didn't even really make that much money. I mean, I think $5,000. It seemed like a lot at the time. It paid for getting there. But after Coachella, a friend of mine had said, if it goes well, send me your logo and I'll do a piece on you guys. So I thought, okay, I think we're going to keep going. I think we've got something here. So I sent him like a JPEG of the logo, not even a vector-based file, which is embarrassing for someone with a master's degree in architecture. And he wrote this piece on Curbed, Dan. And it said like, oh, if you're like really bored and like, want something weird, like maybe check out this ice cream truck if you have nothing else to do. I was like, thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
That was really helpful.
If you're bored, that's hysterical.
It was like, but it went viral. It just shows you it's just more about getting it out there sometimes, because then it went from there to Eater, to Apartment Therapy, to Dwell, to LA Times. The whole ride home, I was getting calls from editors who were picking it up. And Freya, her phone had died on the last day, and I charged it on the way home. And when it, became alive again, she called me and she said, I think we had reserved like, Coolhaus on Twitter, like nothing was even there. It was just like, let's secure this. She's like, we're getting new followers every 3 seconds. I think we've been hacked. And I was like, I don't think that's hacking. I think this is blowing up. And so by the time we got home, I think we had 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 followers in the day, and which was a huge deal at the time. And it was like there was just so much buzz generated for it. And what I can say is, you definitely cannot plan to ever have your brand or what you're doing go viral. But if it does, it is the biggest blessing in the world, and you just have to like hold on and make it happen. So yeah, that's what we did. We used the money from Coachella to fix up the truck so it could drive, so the door could open. Like basics, I'm talking super basics.
So then the following year, you were actually there with the truck, with it.
Yes.
Did you use it in between Coachellas?
Oh, yeah.
Was it so that was your whole business, was out of the truck for the first how many years?
Yes. So basically this truck was from April through the whole 2009 through December, was the OG truck, as we called it, which was the postal van with no power steering, with the wheel on the right side, the whole shebang. Broke down constantly. I mean, I can't even, I know more about like parts of cars because I have seen them all fall off of that truck, including the steering wheel.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Not while you were driving, I hope.
Well, not while I was, but
God.
Someone else. Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah. It was like we had a big event for like a really high profile fashion client. And then we started to go to the next location and just came off. They like the client like thought that they had been punked. Like, no, it's just, we wish it was that, but no. So that truck, it was like, but it like tried to survive,
Yeah.
So, and then, by the end of the year, we knew that we needed a second truck because we couldn't meet the demand. And this truck had to be like legit, like the original truck, it was not permittable really, and, we did get busted for that. And I did have to go to court, the People versus Natasha case.
Really?
Yeah. It was an amazing experience. And it was pretty much me. Like, I think the level of offense was like, comparable to first time DUI, because that's pretty much everyone else who was in this, this court. And I didn't know this, but when you've gone to DUI and they summon you up before the judge, they read your blood alcohol to the court. And so there would be like these little old ladies, like Miss Johnson, like they'd be like 2.1, and everyone would go like, "Oh damn! Oh my, what were you drinking?" It was like so rowdy each time. And like this little old lady would like go up, like. It was a fascinating experience.
That's hilarious and frightening at the same time.
Yeah. So we did get, but I knew that things were going to be okay because my my public defender, I guess, she was like leaned into me when they were reading, the whatever they're called, the charges, I guess, on like the truck not having the right kind of sink or not being permittable. And she leaned over to me and she's like, so it's ice cream sandwiches? And I was like, yeah. She's like, do you do kids parties? And I said, yeah. And she said, how much do they cost? $5 a sandwich. She was like, okay, let's talk. I was like, I think I'm going to be fine. She like, my defender is interested in my business. I think we're going to be okay. And we were. It was like they just basically said, get a proper truck together, and we'll kind of like eliminate these.
Let this
we needed the urgency to do it, and we did. So then we had a real truck by the beginning of 2010, and then we used that to go to the second year of Coachella and for a ton of other events. But the OG continued to do private, very private catering on the side. I don't know if a big part of your listenership is the health department. So hopefully
I doubt it. And is the OG truck still around somewhere in a museum? Or?
It's in a retirement community of cars, but it still could be resuscitated. And I have spoken to a couple auto museums because I think it needs to live on.
I think it should
too. Yeah.
I think the stories of it and everything that it inhabits and inhabited is important.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you guys, this is so exciting. And how old were the two of you at this time?
25 and 26.
That's incredible. I'm blown away by that.
Yeah.
I'm just blown away by that. So, okay. I have so many questions. So you have this all is basically, not basically, a woman-owned two woman CEOs running this company. And then you had to expand it, obviously, as time went on. How did you start to expand the company? Did you have to hire? I don't know anything about that. I'm sort of learning a little bit. Like I have a team now that helps me do this podcast. I could never do it by myself. So I know as far as that, like I have a producer, I have an editor, but I can't imagine having this big company and having a manufacturer and you must have a PR person and
it definitely takes a village, and I think growing the team is one of the biggest challenges for anyone. It takes years. It takes time to figure out what even, that team looks like. What are the roles and responsibilities, and what is the culture you want to make? And I think you have to be patient with yourself because you're not going to learn that all in a day. And you really do learn it by doing it. Like I think classes and blogs and, books about it can are often helpful, but there's nothing like living through it. So you kind of got to like let it catch up with you. Now 10 years in, I'm 35 and I'm still learning so much all the time. And I love that element of it. I think that's actually the thrill is like constantly evolving and growing. But you do, then you really, in that 10 years, you can know a lot about who you want your team to be and what you're creating for them to thrive in. What's the environment? Who are you as a boss and a CEO? Are you the good cop? Are you the bad cop? How do you best share, what you're trying to teach or what you're trying to collaborate on? So like a lot of it does become more clear, and you sort of set an intention more. I think, this is how I want it to be, instead of like, I'm just like, okay, I'll figure it out. I'm surviving. I'm getting through. We got through another day. It becomes less of that. It becomes much more kind of broader and vision based.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. And so when you guys then continued on, so you had the two trucks, or you're expanding. And then when did you become brick and mortar?
So brick and mortar was 2011, which was our Culver City flagship, which we're right next door to, which you wanted to record the podcast in because that's where the ice cream is. Just admit it.
It smells amazing in there.
Yeah.
I didn't really want to leave.
The waffle cones. Yeah. You can go back after. It's okay. Yeah. So we opened here in 2011, and we really chose this neighborhood intentionally. I always liked Culver City. There's a ton of artists and architects here. I'd always gone to the galleries. So there's a creative, I think, juice to Culver City, and it never sounds too far for anyone. It's pretty central, all said and done, close to a few different freeways, which is big in LA. Easy parking for this shop. And it was up and coming. Going back to 2011, like Culver City paid for our mechanical, plumbing, electrical engineering permits because they were dying to have a brand like us come and be in Culver City. That would not be the case now. Now it's every cool restaurant. You got, we have like the, Bar and Gardens, amazing wine store. Next door is Hilo. We have Platform down the street, everything in downtown. It's just endless, like really, really cool. So, we took a bet on being pioneers in an up and coming neighborhood. And I think that really, paid off. And then we were lucky to have the space next door become available, and that became our whole headquarters, which is amazing. I love being here. I think, ultimately the Scoop Shop is a huge role that it plays is not only that it's from a business standpoint, of course, and growing your brand, but it's a huge consumer touch point. That is a way that people can interact with us that's different than the truck, and it's different than the grocery store or the restaurant that Coolhaus is on the menu, or movie theater, or however. And you really build like that experience. You really tap into the community with the shop. And also it's an innovation center. We can test ideas out there, see how people respond to them. Do they connect? Do they buy them? What flavor do they like the best? Who is buying it? What's the profile of this person? And I think that is hugely strategic in the other two elements of the brand, which is the trucks and the grocery distribution.
Wow. So how many trucks do you have now?
We have 10.
Oh my gosh.
LA, Dallas, and New York. And who knows, more in the future.
That's incredible. Wow. I'm so impressed. So you guys are just killing it on the Coolhaus front. When did you start having the conversation about let's have a baby?
Yeah. I think that, let's see. So I think Freya and I always knew that we wanted to have a family. And then we were getting to a point where I want to say maybe around 2014, we, started to have more real conversations just about life in general, like also, wanting to get a house. So that was part of it. Like, we want to get a house. Okay, well, the house is going to be a place where, like, what do we want this house to be? How long do we want to be there? And how much space will we need for when our family grows? And so I think that kind of played into like, okay, now if we're going to get this house and this is a place where we want to start growing our family, well, what's the idea there? What's the timeline there? As two moms, you definitely have to be very deliberate about the decision. There's unfortunately a 0% chance that I can impregnate Freya or the other way around. But that's kind of what's cool about it. Like, you do have to be very deliberate. Yeah. So, I think around then, so that was like maybe 2015, we started to take it more seriously and started to like do what's the legwork? How much, money is this going to cost? What's kind of the process? And, we started talking about with our doctors, but then also like, a sperm bank and like seeing what that was. But then it wasn't like a huge rush. I think then maybe another, 6 or 7 months passed by. And then we really started to say, okay, let's do this. And, we tried a few times for Freya. It didn't work out. And then she took like a chill break. And then we tried again, summer 2016, and that ended up being Remy.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and that was you?
So Freya carried Remy.
Freya carried Remy.
And, but yeah, I think what we said, which is really important, is we said there's not going to ever be a perfect time. One thing that's important to know is it's never going to be a perfect time. And we were like, I think we were good about that. We were like, well, this is happening, or I'm busy here, or you're busy there. And we just said, you know what? We just got to do this because it's not ever, the stars are not going to align. And you're shaking your head because
Yes.
So we just went for it. And, it was just, it's so cool. And, I have, so much to share about just being a mom and being a boss and being a CEO. I mean, it's been much. So I could never have even expected the thrill of it all.
You're
pretty amazing.
Glowing. So how do you both juggle being moms and working full time?
Yeah, I think so. I think that, Freya and I had done a lot together. And had really known each other in stressful situations, growing the business together, hiring employees. I feel like we've had 200 children, some of whom are more babies than Remy. No offense to them.
I'm sure.
But, we had seen each other in those moments, and sort of, we already had understanding for each other of how we react in the 11th hour and whatnot. So that was definitely helpful going in terms of the decision-making process, in terms of just, you have to be so deeply partnered with your significant other to do this. Like that element being a huge unknown, like sometimes it has to be that way, but it not being, like, taking that off the table was like an alleviator. So I think we have a great partnership. So that's been amazing. I think that, when you are passionate about what you do, and then you have a kid, for me, it's made me even more passionate. I really feel like, now you're doing it with a different purpose. Like, I always loved doing what I do, but now I'm making like a badass ice cream legacy for Remy. And like that fires me up even more, makes me want to do even more and be even greater. And like you think about what you're creating for them, like how will they view this? How will they view you as a person in the context of business? You know, when they're older, like, you know, you have that kind of like another set of eyes on you. So I think it changes how you conduct yourself, and it changes, like, the small stuff, you start to sweat it less and you're more focused on the big picture. So it's like a shift. And then I think also, like, you know, when you're a parent, you're just very efficient with your time. I never understood before having Romeo. I was like, how do people do that? Like, they'd have the work and then they have the kid. Like, it just seems impossible. And then you have one, you're like, no, well, you like get shit done, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if
and
you want
learn how
done,
to say no.
But that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. They say, like, you want something done, give it to a working mom. It really is true.
Yeah. It's so true.
And because dads out there, I'm sure too.
Yes,
like, especially
of course.
Working moms.
Of course. There's something about that. Like, someone called me this morning and was it this morning, yesterday? She's starting her own podcast, and I had said, call me, I'll help you. And so we had a phone conference, and anyway, long short, it was one of those things where it was a friend. I was at home. It was a Sunday. I was with my kid, and I said, I'll email my editor and ask this question right now, because if I don't do it right now, I will forget.
Yeah.
And like, it was done, and like, she got what she needed, and I felt so accomplished. But I've learned, having a kid, he's now 9.5, but I have to do it right then. Like, there's stuff that I saw a meme, I think yesterday. If there's something that you need to accomplish that you can do in less than 1 minute, do it right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's like my credo.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
It's so true. I feel like my mom, this is how she kind of can weave in the Jewish guilt too. Like, if she asks me to do something, I'm like, I don't. She's like, it literally will take 30 seconds. And then you're like, it will actually.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
Like, what's your argument? How do you get out of that one?
It's so true.
Yeah. So she's the master of the under a minute.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
For delegation as well.
Yes. Delegation. Yeah. Now, did you have siblings grow up?
I do have a little sister.
Aww.
Yeah.
Is she here in LA?
She is. I'm very lucky. She's here in LA. She's awesome. She is a French teacher.
Does she babysit?
She does babysit. She's great with kids.
Oh,
she has had a lot of experience with kids. She is teaching French at Santa Monica College right now,
amazing.
Which is awesome. And she also is really into like styling and makeup. So she does a lot of my like hair and makeup for photo shoots and whatnot, which is so fun. And then her husband actually works at Coolhaus, Pierre. He's a Frenchman. So they're both, you know, Francophiles. And he is our, we just had a title change. He's director of specialty and also analysis guru.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that title.
And then Freya has her sister, Carissa, who's awesome, and brother-in-law, who's an architect. They're in town. And so we see them all the time. They love watching Remy. And so we're very, very lucky. Having family.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. It's definitely
huge. And then you have your parents.
Yeah, my parents and Freya's mom's in LA. So, we're
great.
pretty spoiled on that front.
That's a huge piece, because he's 2 now, so he's not in school. So it's like you just need that help.
Totally. It's incredible. And just for them to have the love of, you know, the extended family and see that as part of their universe is really cool. Yeah. Yeah. And Freya has another 2 sisters who aren't here, but I'm sure they're, you know, that's like probably their biggest reason to want to get back to LA.
I'm sure. Well, I mean, he's like a superstar. He's a rock star. I want to hang out with him. I want to watch him play piano with his grandma.
And basketball, you should see. He's really, really good at basketball. Yeah, he does like jump shots and moves, and
he can come play with my son who just started on the team at his school, and he's like, he can do that thing between his legs.
Oh my God.
And he wears tights, and like he's
good.
Cool.
He's legit.
He's got swag.
Remy would be like, literally his mind would be blown by your son.
Sure, yeah.
He loves like older kids, older boys. Yeah.
Because Blooms is that way with kids that are older than him. He's like, oh my God, those high schoolers are so cool. Oh, that's so amazing. Wow. You've really built you've architected for yourself an incredible life.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. That's so beautiful.
Enjoy it.
Yeah. So you're in it, you're doing this thing, and you're also doing all this other cool stuff. So you were talking about when I walked in, you said, I just wrote a blog post.
Yeah.
What was the blog post about?
For Romper for International Women's Day. When they're, you know, the kind of mom lifestyle side of Bustle. And Bustle, we just had a huge campaign with them with Lexus. So they've both been really amazing partners. I do co-host a podcast called Start to Sale with my friend Erin Patinkin of Ovenly Bakeries. And that's been awesome. So I can definitely appreciate your end of the table. And it's just such a and that one's fun because we're sort of as CEOs and founders talking to other CEOs and founders. So that's kind of our angle. It's sort of a roundtable discussion. But it's just to put yourself in a situation that could be uncomfortable, like hosting a podcast. And then you do it and you really enjoy it and you see people loving the work you do. It's like, it's why it's so important to like push yourself out of your comfort zone. I realized. Not just keep doing the same thing all the time.
That you never have since growing up in Sherman Oaks.
Yeah.
I mean, you just,
Sherman Oaks
yeah.
days.
I mean, that's just in your nature, it seems.
Yeah.
Like you keep wanting to do different stuff. And I love that because it keeps things fresh. And it's such a great thing to model for your son of like, you're not limited.
Totally.
There's no limit. Like you can try this, you can try this. Like,
yeah.
And so sometimes you're going to fall on your face and have to go to court because the thing wasn't permitted, but like you just keep going.
Yeah. You just keep going.
And it's all good.
Yeah. It's true.
Wow. So when is International Women's Day?
The 8th.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. But it's the whole month. So don't worry.
The whole month.
You have the whole month to just celebrate women, and you celebrate women all the time anyway. That's the point. I think it's good to have these awareness days and months, but ultimately, we're here to all be treated as equals and being given equal opportunity. So
yes, yes. Oh my gosh. How long have we been talking? Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we're almost there, but there was like 3 more questions I had that popped up. Let me ask this. What is that on the board? It says, there's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 5 is excellent and 1 is poor. What are those the rating things for? Is that for work?
After I leave the room, then my team comes here and rates all the podcast interviewers accordingly. So you've now been revealed.
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm hoping for a 5, guys.
I think you'll be okay there.
At least
for
a
sure.
Solid 4.
You got 5.5.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
So that was actually I'm glad you asked. We've been having some, for lack of the sexier word, focus groups here. Sexier words. We had 4 groups come in. We did it by, I think, whether they have dairy or non-dairy and different like age demos. And those were really the 4. And talk to them about our brand and our story and what we're making and just sort of get their feedback. And then we did blind taste tests at the end of our different flavors. Yeah. Against like Haagen-Dazs, Ben & Jerry's. We did knock it out of the park with vanilla. Like the vanilla is off the charts. People loved the cookie dough. And then we did, one more, I think, the chocolate molten. Yeah. So people it tested really, really well. And I think we had that scale there for answering different things about the product. But this is something we want to do a ton more, is like really kind of show people behind the curtain, like, and let them be part of the process of what we're making. Because we were talking to them a lot about like, we want to reinvent other novelties. We want to reinvent the Choco Taco. We want to reinvent the Bonbon. So like, let's hear what people have to say about that early in the process, and make them feel, and because they are connected to what we're doing. Like we're doing this for them. Yes. So we should listen to them too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So you're really into that, like being out, like that, starting with even just the Coachella. Like, yes, it was a great way to get people's eyes on it, but like you were out in the field, literally.
Exactly.
Literally in the field.
In the dust.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's so good to get out there. I just tell people like, I try not to be at my desk for more than 50% of the day because it's, answering emails is not all that it takes. Like that's one piece. There's other things you can do besides answer emails at your desk, but it's like, especially as the CEO and the founder, because the founder's so connected to the story. It's like telling your story, meeting people like you, doing events, business development, sales meetings, whatever it takes, like partnerships. It's really, that's what I love about my days. No 2 days are the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes it fun and keeps it changing and fluid, which is who you are.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. Okay. So I think, I could talk to you forever. There's so many other questions, but, did you guys get married?
We got married in 2012 in New York City Hall.
Great.
Yeah. Because it wasn't legal in California yet.
Until 2014.
Yeah, I think around then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. I remember the day that it happened. And like, when I came into work, a lot of people at the office were like kind of crying tears of joy about it.
Yes.
And I was just like, yeah, duh. It was, my response was weird. I was like, obviously this should be the case.
Right. And you're like, I'm already married.
Because I was already. Yeah. And then we were really glad. We thought at first, like, then it became legal here. We thought we'd have to go get married again in California.
Right.
But no, you can only have a marriage license in one state. Because otherwise you could be like a fraudulent person going around marrying people everywhere.
Right. Which I'm sure people do.
I'm sure people do this. And then we were so relieved to not have to do it again.
Go through the whole.
It's not,
Right.
romantic and fun. But yeah, we're married. Freya is not in the day-to-day anymore. She has a gin company called Future Gin. You should talk to her. She has some good stories. Yeah. And also is head of ops for a tea company called Tea Drops. So she has a lot of stuff going on. Future Gin is the first full woman vertical, like the distiller's woman, the distributor's partner, owner, Mary Bartlett, who's very well known in the bar community, did the botanical, Freya, the branding. So it's all women owned, which is like, does not happen in alcohol. And, but she's still, I joke that she's the first lady of Coolhaus because she's not on the payroll, but she has my ear. So she knows like all the big stuff that's going on, which is a lot. We have a lot going on right now.
Yeah.
It's intense.
What else? What's one thing you could tell me that you haven't told me that's going on right now?
Well, so the grocery business has grown tremendously. We're in about 7,000 stores, everything from a Whole Foods to a Publix to a Safeway to, launching in Ralph's this year, launching in Vaughn's Pavilions this year. And we're launching dairy free. So 5 sandwiches and 8 pints and 7 new dairy pints that are amazing. Flavors like milk and cookie crumb, take the cannoli, so good. Matcha mochi. So we have all that growing. And then we're looking for next year, like actually launching new novelties. So
like you were talking about with the bonbon things or the, oh my gosh,
Yep.
that's so exciting.
Yeah. So it's a lot.
And is there a kitchen back here where you experiment, or where do you experiment?
We do have a kitchen back of house, and then we have like an offsite facility, like 40 minutes from here where we can really test things. Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. We're very fortunate to have that whole setup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions that I ask. Okay. So what is something you've changed your mind about recently?
So I think I've been thinking a lot about, there's been so much conversation around women in business and empowerment, and, we're not getting enough of the dollars, and how do we change things? And, I've really been thinking a lot about, what is the discussion among women, and where do men enter this discussion? Because we're half of the population is men. So men have to embrace this idea as well and treat women as equals and see them as equals. And we both have sons, you and I. It's like the next generation of men. It's like, it can't be a conversation only with women. You don't want to like self-ghettoize and, so I've just been realizing like there's some conversations that I think are really good to have with only women in the room, but like ultimately you have to figure out as part of the long and short game is like, how do we incorporate men? And that absolutely has to be a conversation. And I think that, and then, really partnering, in the right ways. Like I mentor a lot of people, and, I think, I've heard a lot of women say like, I feel bad at this point taking money from men as male investors. Should I only be raising money from women? It's like, look, you're the entrepreneur. Your job is to find the best, most strategic dollars. Like it is not your responsibility to like, eliminate the men from that conversation. What we want is this next generation to have more female investors and more women to write checks and be on the other side of the table. So like, that's something I think that's just been ongoing, kind of thought process. And it's just something really, really good to be aware of right now,
I love that. Just earlier today, I was talking to my creative producer, and we're gathering our data because we are presenting to a bunch of sponsors in the next couple of weeks. And so she said, wait a minute. And I said, what? And we were on the phone, and she sent me the screenshot of our listenership of the last month or whatever. And it was a pie chart, and 51% of the listeners were men. And it wasn't that way when I first started. And I'm like, wait a minute. I said, is that perverts that are like clicking on it and thinking it's one thing? And then she's like, it can't be, because they're listening to multiple, there's so many.
Yeah.
I said, do you think we're actually like educating some men that are interested in like what we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We have to like more discovery
That's
on
awesome,
that.
though.
But it was shocking. She said 51% is male. She's like, I got to look into more of this. And then I had to leave because I was coming to meet you. But
that's cool.
I thought, what if
That's
we
awesome.
are causing at least a ripple in the water? You know?
That's great. No, and I think that should absolutely be one of the ultimate goals.
I mean, I hope that that's what's happening.
It's really funny though.
But I mean, and I have a friend of mine, her husband listens to the podcast. He's like, oh yeah, listen
Awesome.
when I'm running. He's like, you're doing great. And he's just super supportive. He thinks it's
great.
awesome.
No, this is exactly, it's like, that's exactly the goal. It's like,
and he has a
what's
daughter
our goal for women
and a
what's
son.
exactly.
So he's like, infusing that. And so I love that you said that because that is my goal as well.
Yeah.
On all levels. So, okay. How do you define success?
I define success by, I think like, it's some combination of like flexibility and control. So I think like for me, what makes me feel successful is knowing like I have control over my day, or if I want to go on a vacation somewhere, I can do it. Like I'm in the driver's seat of how my day and month and year looks like. And that is like, I think a very, very powerful tool because it allows you to be doing the work and be kind of like you're in a passionate mode, you're going all out, but then you say, I need a break and I need to go and play tennis with friends, or I want to go and just like, get out of town or whatever that may be. And that's something that's come to me with like growing this business over the years. Like as time has gone on, more and more, like even though things are really, really intense all the time, I like have built a great team. So I trust them to run things when I can't be here, or I can set it up so that it's going to be okay when I'm gone, or, just enjoy yourself and take that like hour or two break in the day and come back, take like a mental respite, like don't feel guilty. So that to me is like, that's what comes with like succeeding.
And you make me think of another point. Do you have set hours that you work every day so that you can then be home with your family?
I do try to get home to Remy in the early evening, because when you have a young kid, you only have a few hours with them. So yeah, I live really close to the office. I'm very lucky. I can walk, I can ride my bike or drive. So it doesn't take me that long, and I'm not like flustered with a terrible commute when I come home. And then really we can get like a good 3 hours with him. So he goes to bed like 8:30 or so. And then I do often work again when he goes to bed. But I try to like keep those 3 hours like not, on email and stuff. Anyway, because he won't allow it. He'll come over and he'll start imitating you on the computer, Like or the other day he was like circling his finger over like the pad tracker and then like pressed down really hard. And he opened an episode of my podcast. Like I don't even know how he did that. Like
they just know, they intuitively understand the
weird.
Technology.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
So I'm laughing thinking about him doing it. But yeah, and then also like I do sometimes kind of work and like hang out with him in the morning till late, because I don't think you do have to take time at home sometimes to get certain type of tasks done. It's not only about like office hours, There's flexibility in today's world. People expect that things can be done from anywhere.
Right. Which is lovely.
Yeah.
But
it's actually
also,
great. It could be bad. That's
it can
to
be
set
bad.
boundaries.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've talked about this on the show before. There have been times when my son will say, Mom, put your phone down and be with me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. I'm sorry.
Or let me just come and like remove the phone from your hands and put it away. Like, stop it.
Yeah. Okay. Lightning round. Ocean or desert?
Ocean.
Favorite junk food?
I love these. They're not junk foods. I feel bad saying it, but Nutter Puffs, which is like, they're like from Pop Chips.
Yes.
And Remy loves them. I love them. They're so good.
Yes.
They're like perfect.
Yum.
Yeah.
Movies or Broadway show?
Movies. I've never been to a Broadway show.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's something for
definitely
for the bucket list.
Yes. Well, especially as he gets older and you guys can go do that together.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
Daytime sex or nighttime sex?
Ooh, kind of into daytime.
Yeah. Especially after you have a kid, right? It's just like, I'm too
Let there
tired.
be light.
Yeah. Texting or talking?
Oh, talking.
Cat person or dog person?
Dog. We have two, Hamilton and Scoob.
Oh my God.
Mini Schnauzer and Lhasa Apso. They're very sweet.
So cute. Have you ever worn a unitard?
Oh yeah, many. Hundreds. Right now.
Shower or bathtub?
we don't have, we're going to redo the master bath. And then I plan on having a really good bathtub situation. The house as it is right now, we have 3 baths, which is great, but they're all, they're not like a luxurious bath scene. So when we redo, I plan on being one of those people who have the whole like bath, the shenanigans, like with all the stuff and like the candles,
the products and the candles, poetry, and the crystals, and the poetry. I love it.
That's going to be me for sure.
All of it. Ice cream or chocolate?
I think chocolate ice cream.
There you go. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at ping pong?
I would say 8.5.
Oh, impressive.
Yeah.
What's your biggest? I
was like, that sounded low to me. So,
really?
Yeah. We're a house of athletes. So
most people answer like 4. They don't really know. So they're like, I don't know, 4. That's usually the average answer. What is your biggest pet peeve?
Okay, so this is one that could be helpful because if people follow up and they want to reach out to me, like I'm totally down to try to give people advice, but like write in with like a very specific question. Don't write in and be like, I'm trying to figure it all out. Can you help me? It's like I wish that I could, but like I cannot do anything with that.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
If you could push a button and it would create 10 years of world peace, but it would also place a 100-year ban on all beauty products, would you push it?
Oh yeah. I mean, that to me, I do love a good, lip color and all that, but the world peace. And I've been thinking about the environment so much lately. And I really hope that we, for our next generation, create a world they can live in.
My son just went to the Santa Monica Aquarium. I didn't even know there was one. And he came back for a field trip. He came back quoting me all these stats about, do you know how many plastic bottles this? And do you know, and I just thought, oh, I know I've heard that before, but coming from his mouth, it just gutted me.
Yeah. My friend Amber, we were having dinner and she was saying, she keeps imagining this conversation with her kids when the environment is really, really beyond, where it is today in a bad way. Hopefully not, but if it is. And when they say, did you know how bad it was? And then she's going to get kind of like squeamish and like, but did you know, and she'll say, yeah. And they'll say, well, what did you do? And if you really didn't have enough to say about what you did, like,
yeah.
Are you a good person? Like that's what and I'm like that. I totally can relate to that. Like, how could we ever explain this to them? So it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, it is. Superpower choice: invisibility, ability to fly, or super strength.
Was the strength like to push a car?
Anything you want. Like it's super strength.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess like Hulk.
Oh,
Incredible Hulk.
Of those 3, I'd go for the fly.
Yeah.
Go to like, Japan, have a really good sushi dinner.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid. Okay. This is the weird question. Would you rather have 6 fingers on both hands or a belly button that looks like foreskin?
Wow. I mean, I don't really wear a lot of halter tops, so I guess you just can hide the belly button. One-piece bathing suit, type.
True. You could scoop more scoops with an extra finger.
Yeah. You just imagine every time people notice there's 6 in the day. It's like their eyes kind of open wide for a second and they try to look away like they didn't notice. Like you just get used to that, I guess. Or just tell people in advance. I'm meeting you for this interview. I have 12 total fingers. Just don't even think it's weird when I see you. See you soon.
She put her hands on the table when she said that. Yeah. Full disclosure.
To show that I actually do have 6 fingers on each hand.
What was the name of your first pet?
Frank.
What was the name of the street you grew up on?
Hortense. Is that my porn name?
Frank Hortense?
Yeah.
That's good.
Or I guess we moved when I was 9, so Camino de Solana.
Oh God, that's good too.
That's the one. Yeah.
Camino
that's my alter porn ego.
De Solana?
Yeah.
Oh man. She is like a flamenco dancer.
Totally.
And she has sequins. Oh my God, I want to know her. I want to go to her show.
I just have to tell one funny anecdote to wrap it up.
Please.
That I had an Uber driver this morning who picked me up in a Saab, which was kind of fun. Like I haven't been in one of those
vintage
in a long time.
Yeah.
And then he had like this pillow in the back seat that was like bedazzled. It was like totally like every rhinestone. And it was like when I opened the door, you could see all the like reflections of the light, like, whoa, kind of shock you. It was like a disco ball. And then I like told him I liked his sob. And then I was like looking at the pillow, and then he kind of was like basically talking to himself the whole ride. And I was thinking, God, it's such a fine line between like a creative spirit and like a crazy. Like I really like, I couldn't know the whole time, like, and respect either way. He was doing his job, and he did a great job getting me to where I needed to go. But it was just like, yeah, like that pillow, and then I realized like, oh, you could totally be, or he'd obviously be both, but it was kind of a wild journey.
I mean, that's like me and the crazy 6-finger foreskin on your belly button question. You could just go, oh, she is crazy. She is crazy.
No, it's a good one. Does everyone get that same exact question, or is it like different?
No, there's another one. Do you want the other?
Sure,
do you want the alternate?
Sure, yeah.
The alternate is, would you rather have, I try to mix it up each episode. Would you rather have a penis where your tailbone is, or a third eye? And it's a literal third eye.
Oh, literal, right? Not like a acupuncture, like needle. I like the one I got. I'll just leave it at that.
Natasha, thank you so much.
Thanks
Such
for
a
having
pleasure.
me.
Oh my gosh, this was awesome.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Natasha. If you would like to go to the website and check out all the show notes, you can. I also have transcriptions of the show made for every show, so you can see that. It's written out just like an interview. And any links to anything that we talked about. Natasha's Coolhaus website, her social media handles, if you want to get in touch with her, you can. And while you're there, please subscribe to the show. It really helps if you subscribe to the show. Yeah. But ultimately, I'm just grateful that you're listening. And I hope that this show is helping you in some way laugh, feel a little bit less alone, and just enjoy this hour with me and my guests. So next week on the show, we have Wendy Miller, who was the head of programming at Playboy Television for 7 years. And she is funny. She is so funny. And now she has this podcast called Sex Ed, the Musical. Oh my gosh, it's so great. So I can't wait to share that with you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening. Talk to you soon.